And we went over it. So this, in a very unglamorous way, I don't think he was one of the only people I interviewed who didn't wear black. Eksi Sozluk it would be unfair to say that it's the Wikipedia of Turkey because it was invented 5 years before Wikipedia by Sedat here, who was a coding genius. He basically, to escape army conscription, he went and became one of the key developers on the Microsoft operating system. So he basically sort of slightly overshot on the job abroad. And then in his spare time, he had this idea that when he got his head around the internet, he thought it could be a bit like the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And so at the time when it was IRC chat forums and things, he published some blogging tools on this site called Eksi Sozluk, and he said, you can write about anything here, anything under the sun. His first entry was about pick, a guitar pick. But he said, you have to make it in the format of a dictionary definition. So it's this society-wide word game. It's the 5th site in Turkey in internet traffic. Anything happens politically or socially, this is the debating problem. He said the real need for this was that the Turkish media, you saw with the protests that happened in Turkey quite recently, you know, the media were showing a show on kittens or something while this was going on outside the window, with people outside the window shouting shame because they're so scared of the politicians, whereas this internet site just, you know, I said, does this create any problems for you? He said, yeah, I got through death threats, but that guy's in prison. He said, and he was really proud. The day I met him, he'd just won a court case, and there was a 2-word entry for a famous right-wing politician, and the entry just said, idiot, full stop, bigot, full stop. And I said, how do you win the court case? He said, over a series of months, my lawyer proved that the guy was both. But he said, look, it's just this... he said, I don't know what the internet, you know, he's worked with the internet in the West, but he said, what it is here is just this flowering of like youth who've never been, he said, it's not just the politicians, your father won't let you speak up at the dinner table, you've just never had a voice as young people, and suddenly we can disagree over everything from national football to politics to food or anything, and he said, if I'd been more professional, I would have started a site reflecting my views. He's quite liberal. But he said, but I didn't know you were supposed to do that, so I just let anybody mouth off on the site, and as a result, it is just all of Turkey is there. And it causes newspaper stories every week, you know.
And what made with principle is this business and illustration?
Oh, I put this in the chapter on invention. I just think this is, rather like England and a few cultures, this is a region that prides itself on inventing things. And they're really proud of this. There's a big show at the start of that chapter called Stars for Science, which is probably the most successful of that pop idol type thing, but it's people pitching their inventions on primetime TV. It's got a huge following, because there is this Arab and Iraqi and to some extent Turkish idea that we are, you know, characteristically great at inventing things. And this was just something that he thought up, and I think it's so brilliant because he didn't do it within the realm of working for Microsoft. He just made something he liked, some friends quite liked, and then suddenly he had 30 million people who quite liked it, and it sort of snowballed a bit. But it is really just invented, and all of its brilliance, he explained the whole story, was just there was one problem after another that needed to be fixed. And so it started as something maybe quite generic and ended up a bit like blogging tools, but ended up as this really unique sort of edifice.